If you feel like driving in Dallas can be scary, new numbers suggest you are right. An NBC5 investigation finds over 5 years, Dallas had the worst traffic fatality rate among America's 10 largest cities. Tonight, we are launching a major effort to find out why so many people are driven to death on our streets. Senior investigative reporter Scott Friedman has some surprising answers and tough questions for city and state leaders.
We analyzed the most recent 5 years of federal data and discovered Dallas averages about 15 traffic deaths for every 100,000 people. That puts Dallas just above Phoenix with the highest traffic fatality rate among U.S. cities with more than 1 million people. And get this, that Dallas fatality rate is 27% higher than Houston, 51% higher than Los Angeles. And we found there's one thing causing deadly crashes in the city of Dallas more than anything else.
Good morning, Dallas.
Sadly, another deadly morning rush hour commute continues in Dallas.
A multi-vehicle accident. Reports are 2 people were killed at the scene.
It's how Dallas starts the day.
So we are following a fatal crash that happened.
We hear it so often, maybe we've come to accept it as normal.
Here's what we can tell you about the 3 deadly crashes.
Almost like traffic deaths are just the cost of doing business on our fast-moving freeways and city streets.
This is a pedestrian who was hit and killed.
The startling images pour over us.
An 18-wheeler comes crashing over the highway.
Maybe distracting us from seeing how it all adds up.
The driver has died.
In the city of Dallas alone, traffic crashes have killed more than 1,000 people since 2019, and more than 5,000 have been severely injured. To see what's causing crashes most, NBC5 Investigates obtained Texas Department of Transportation data for fatal and serious injury crashes in North Texas. We mapped the location of every death, every major injury since 2019. We pinpointed places where people are hurt and killed again and again. The data also showed us that in Dallas, speed is what's killing us more than anything else. In the city, it's the #1 contributing factor to deadly crashes, often combined with other top contributing factors like driving under the influence and drivers failing to stay in a single lane.
The numbers are too high. And now my mom is one of those numbers.
These aren't just numbers, these are families.
And that is the toughest pill to swallow.
Marcela Soto's life changed when her mom's car was obliterated in a high-speed crash in the Whittle Rogers Tunnel. Reina Salazar was a nurse heading home from an evening shift.
The most hardworking person you could ever meet.
Police say a car driven by a teenager who had been drinking slammed into Salazar at a high rate of speed, ending a beloved mother and grandmother's life.
That's been the hardest part, learning, coming to terms with the fact that she's no longer here.
Marcella says she's now hyper-aware of high speeds on Dallas streets.
Do you get angry when you see that?
Yes, absolutely. Every time. Every single time. Every single time. Especially if my kids are in the car.
90.
NBC5 Investigates conducted speed studies, clocking drivers on Dallas roads that have seen numerous speed-related deaths since 2019.
Dark SUV, 91.
We did it with help from our NBC5 colleague Don Peritz, a retired Sheriff's Department traffic sergeant.
100.
In no time, we saw extreme speeds, clocking some drivers at 100 miles an hour or more, like on the CF Hahn Freeway south of downtown.
Black sedan, lane 2, 112.
Almost 50 miles an hour above the 65 speed limit in afternoon traffic. Here at CF Hahn and Prairie Creek, TxDOT records show 11 people have died in less than 5 years, nearly all in speed-related crashes. We clocked more than 100 cars at that location. 9 out of every 10 were traveling above the 65 mile per hour speed limit.
80, lane 1, silver sedan.
4 out of every 10 were exceeding the limit by 10 miles an hour or more.
Lane 2, 77.
Look at this SUV. Oh my gosh.
But those speeds probably don't surprise you, because you drive these streets.
Look at how fast that guy just passed us.
As we crisscrossed town for this report, we captured images of things many of you complain about on Dallas roads.
Speed is the high factor. Driving in it every day, it's crazy.
You see the startling moves.
Just look at that, all the way across, every lane of traffic.
The cars racing past you, making you feel like you need to speed or you could get run off the road.
I see a lot of road rage.
Tailgating, people following way too close.
And it's not just the highways.
Perfect example, and that's all day. I mean, that's what happens here all day.
On city streets, we clock cars traveling closer to freeway speeds.
63 right here. Whoa. It's Toyota. 57.
Speed matters because research has shown every 10-mile-an-hour increase in speed increases the risk of death or serious injury in a collision.
It's very frustrating, but it happens all the time in this city.
Max Kayam survived a crash that looks like something you would see on a highway, only it happened on a residential street. A driver in a car with a high-performance engine suddenly punched the accelerator, according to witnesses, lost control of the car, and careened into Max's car at what he describes as freeway speed. Both cars landing in the front yard of a home in the M Streets neighborhood.
That is one thing I do remember is the high RPMs as he was hitting me. I can still hear that sound.
The crash broke his sternum, shattered his wrist, leaving permanent damage.
I don't recommend it to anybody. It's a horrible thing to go through.
These crashes leave Max and other victims wondering if there's any way to calm the speeds on Dallas roads.
What is it that we're lacking as a city, as a state?
We set out to answer that question, talking to people who study road safety.
I would say this is dangerous by design.
People who suggest many of our roads feel like racetracks because they were built that way.
They're driving that fast because they feel like the road is inviting them to do that.
We traveled to another country to see how bold street design changes are making a difference for drivers and pedestrians.
Everybody stops.
Everybody stops
for us.
Right? So it's so safe for you. There is no conflict between pedestrian and vehicle.
A city that's embracing technology to calm traffic and save lives.
When people start to see that the data is showing that our numbers are coming down, it just reinforces that this is the right behavior to take.
And back in Dallas, we questioned city officials about what's happened since the city council began talking about a plan to eliminate traffic deaths over 7 years.
Why have the numbers gone in the wrong direction?
This has been the case nationwide.
What's being done to address stretches of road where people are dying again and again? Answers matter in a city losing people at a faster rate than many others its size.
Red alert due to a fatal accident.
It would mean so much for me to see those numbers come down.
Does have the freeway shut down. Dallas
knowing that the streets are safer.
That's where we pick up the story on Monday night. We'll look at some of the most deadly Dallas streets and ask why bolder steps have not been taken to address high speeds and a lack of safe places for pedestrians to cross. We've posted our crash maps on our website so you can see the spots with the most injuries and deaths right down to your neighborhood. And we want to hear from you. Tell us where you see the biggest road dangers and high speeds. You can message our investigative team about problem spots at ic@nbcdfw.com. If you have a dash cam or a passenger in your car safely captures images of an incident, you can send them to us there as well. In the weeks ahead, we'll take more of those danger zones to local leaders to ask what can be done.
In 2019, the Dallas City Council made a bold pledge to work to eliminate traffic deaths and to reduce injuries, a plan known as Vision Zero. But tonight, an NBC5 investigation finds almost 4 years later, that effort is only getting off the ground. Our senior investigative reporter, Scott Friedman, asks why as he continues our series, Driven to Death.
Well, Vision Zero is a safety strategy used by cities around the world. It assumes people will make mistakes, crashes will happen, but roads can be redesigned to slow speeds and reduce chances that crashes will cause serious injuries and deaths. The Dallas City Council began embracing that approach in 2019, so we wondered why the city has not reconfigured some of its deadliest streets.
In a city of big, busy streets, Buckner Boulevard stands out as one of the most deadly. NBC5 investigates analyzed TxDOT crash records. In less than 5 years, at least 150 people have been seriously injured and 24 killed on Buckner alone. 12 of the dead are pedestrians, like Luis Diosdado Munoz,
a popular neighborhood paletero and ice cream vendor in the Pleasant Grove neighborhood.
Un paletero en la zona de Pleasant Grove fue atropellado y falleció.
A pickup truck hit Munoz as he pushed his ice cream cart, leaving his signature cowboy hat in the road.
Muy rápido.
Muy rápido. De hecho, estamos viendo cómo están pasando los carros.
Munoz's daughter, Elizabeth, says the speeds are very fast. In fact, she says we can see how the cars are passing by. We did see.
Perfect example, and that's all day. I mean, that's what happens here all day.
You see that all day long.
Bobby Peterson has owned a car shop on Buckner for decades.
I've seen him doing close to 100 miles an hour sometimes. Yeah, just racing, winding out, and you're like, oh my God.
Lane 1, 56.
NBC5's Don Peritz, a retired sheriff's deputy, helped us clock more than 100 cars on Buckner near Bruton Road. 9 out of every 10 were traveling above the 40-mile-per-hour limit.
57.
We clocked some at speeds you might expect on freeways.
63, right here. Whoa. It's Toyota.
Speed is one half of what appears to be a lethal combination on Buckner, mixed with a constant stream of pedestrians crossing the road without using crosswalks. One after another, we watched people cross mid-block. It's not hard to understand why when you see how far you would have to go to use a crosswalk.
For example, on Buckner between Bruton and Hume Drive, we measured, and the crosswalks are more than a half a mile apart. So someone getting off the bus here would have to walk about a quarter of a mile up, cross the street, and then come a quarter of a mile down just to get to the other side.
Están muy lejos los semáforos para cruzar.
The traffic lights are too far away to cross, Elizabeth told us. She believes that's why her dad was not in a crosswalk when he died. I would like to see that no one else lose their life, just like my dad, she says.
We need to stop building roads like this.
We walked Buckner with David Zipper, an urban planner and researcher who studies road safety strategies around the world.
This is a road that is designed unsafely, and it's people, I think, on foot in particular, who are going to pay a disproportionate share of the price for that.
Zipper says Buckner and other streets that look like it were built for speed more than safety. He says the wide, straight lanes give drivers a false sense it's safe to drive freeway speeds, even though Buckner is lined with store entrances and pedestrians on a major bus route.
The idea that you would create bus stops on a road like this and not facilitate the safe passage of pedestrians to and from that station, I mean, to be honest, it strikes me as, I don't know whether to say crazy or inhumane or both.
We're going to talk about Vision Zero. What is Vision Zero?
In 2019, the Dallas City Council said it would use a Vision Zero strategy to reshape dangerous streets.
I'm really happy to see our city go towards making this commitment.
The council is pledged to work to eliminate traffic deaths and cut serious injuries in half in the next 7 years. But a draft of a 2023 Vision Zero progress report we obtained showed few of the city's action items completed, many marked as not started. Other progress notes were blank. We questioned the city about this. Weeks later, they released a new version showing more blanks filled in. But a memo attached says out of 40 action items this year, just 9 have been completed, 24 are in progress, 7 have not been started, with the end of the year just 8 weeks away. The report says the city has completed safety evaluations on 5 dangerous corridors, including Buckner, and it says lower-cost, quick-build improvements are being considered.
How would you characterize the current situation on Dallas roads?
I would say there's a lot of room for improvement.
Catherine Rush is the city's chief transportation planner. Her department has completed its own study ranking streets with the most deaths and injuries, but it uses older 2015 to 19 data. The worst road was a portion of Great Trinity Forest Way in southern Dallas. One stretch of Buckner was second worst. Looking at all of Buckner, the city's numbers showed another 138 people killed or severely injured from 2015 to 19.
How does it get that bad?
I think it's a lot of, to some extent, it's a little bit of a lack of a dedicated effort of somebody dedicated to using data to identify these high injury locations.
Rush explained even though the city council okayed Vision Zero in 2019, it took the city almost 3 years to create an action plan.
We didn't actually get funding from city council until October of 2022. And so really we're just now, from a implementation perspective, approaching the 1 year line.
24 months ago, colleagues, 24 months ago,
we voted to make Vision Zero start.
Last year, council members complained about slow progress.
Now staff is asking for another 24 months.
Was this a real commitment to change, or was this more of a press release?
I think at the time, everyone was on board with it.
Councilmember Chad West believes the council is still on board, but says it must include Vision Zero in bond funding plans so it can pay for more significant improvements that reshape streets.
We shout about it in the news media. We talk about it on our social media for our council districts. But then when it comes down to the funding, it's not even recommended, much less voted on. So it's an issue.
We also discovered the National Vision Zero Network reviewed Dallas's plan and found it did not meet the group's national criteria because it lacks concrete steps to reduce high speeds.
We're not questioning any city's commitment to safety, but to really be recognized as a Vision Zero community, we want to see very explicit timelines, strategies, and ownership.
The group believes cities must lower speed limits and narrow traffic lanes or reduce the number of lanes in pedestrian areas to encourage drivers to slow down.
I think we've really seen in the last 10 years or so such a direct link between the width of the travel lanes, the way the street is designed, and how fast people go.
Dallas's action plan sets a goal of 10 major Vision Zero projects by 2027, but the plan does not specify what those projects would involve. Other goals in the plan are very small, like installing improved pedestrian crossings at 3 locations a year.
Forgive me if I sound underwhelmed, but how many intersections are there in the city? You're talking 3 a year?
Yes. So again, we just wanted to start by getting the wheels turning.
Rush says the city hopes to accelerate plans after more money is approved. But addressing dangers on Great Trinity Forest and Buckner may take longer because they're part of Loop 12, which is also a state highway. So changes would need TxDOT approval too.
We're inviting interactions that are unsafe.
David Zipper says many cities struggle to implement Vision Zero as leaders discover it's easier to say you want safer roads than to fix them.
A lot of city leaders and public officials find that they're more interested in making announcements about Vision Zero than in actually making the investments that are necessary to actually save lives.
So we reached out to TxDOT. The agency told us it welcomes discussion with the city about safety measures, including lower speed limits and installation of crosswalks on Buckner. TxDOT told us the city could ask the state to conduct a speed study to see if the limit could be lowered. The city's traffic department tells us it has reached out now to make that request. Brittany, we will continue to press both sides for answers about how to address the death toll on that street.
Well, Scott, what could Dallas streets look like if the city went all in, really went all in on Vision Zero?
So we are going to show you on Wednesday night. We will take you to a place sometimes called the Texas of the North, where a city has cut traffic deaths using strategies not seen here. We hope that'll spark more conversation about what Dallas can do to save lives.
Scott, thank you.
As an NBC5 investigation has revealed Dallas has the highest traffic death rate among U.S. cities, with more than 1 million people. So tonight we're on the search for solutions. Our senior investigative reporter Scott Friedman takes us to a major city where most weeks no one dies in a crash.
We wondered what it might look like if Dallas more aggressively implemented Vision Zero, the safety strategy the city council says it wants to use to reduce traffic deaths. To find out, we traveled to another country and a city fully embracing Vision Zero, showing others how to save lives.
We're on a journey to a land of safer streets, where roads are being reshaped in strange-looking ways. A city that opens your mind to the thought that maybe someday deadly car crashes could be a thing of the past. Welcome to Edmonton in Alberta, Canada. They sometimes call this Canadian province the Texas of the North. It's a region known for producing oil. They like their pickup trucks here too. And in recent years, they've driven down traffic deaths and injuries with an aggressive road safety strategy. The Dallas metro area is bigger than Edmonton, but the two cities themselves are similar size, about 1.1 to 1.3 million people. Last year, Edmonton had 14 traffic deaths. Dallas had 228. So maybe Dallas could learn from this Canadian town with crosswalks that look like something from the land of Oz.
This is very jarring to me to see this, just to be in the middle of the intersection, but this is safer?
Yes, because if you see all those vehicles, including the turning vehicle, they're stopped for you, right?
Everybody stopped.
Everybody stopped.
For us.
Right? So it's so safe for you. There is no conflict between pedestrian and vehicle.
They call this a scramble crosswalk. Pedestrians can cross diagonally because traffic lights are programmed to briefly halt cars in all directions and prohibit right-hand turns on red. This prevents cars from turning into people in crosswalks. Edmonton installs the scrambles in spots where crashes have hurt and killed pedestrians, something that has not happened at this location since the scramble arrived.
We haven't had any pedestrian-involved collisions for this location, none.
In 2 years?
In 2 years.
It's one small part of the Vision Zero plan Edmonton adopted in 2015. In the next 6 years, traffic deaths declined by 50%, severe injuries by 30%.
When you ask how they've done it, the answer often includes one word:
the data. And look at the data.
We need to have that data.
They use it to identify where people are injured and killed most. Then they attack those spots with everything from high-tech traffic enforcement to radical street redesigns.
You actually took a lane of traffic away here.
Yeah, basically on this road, for example, there was a parking lane on one side.
In high pedestrian neighborhoods, they're narrowing roads to slow traffic speeds.
What does narrowing the road do from a safety standpoint?
Yeah, it's a combination of, it makes sight lines better for folks in the area, people driving. As you turn into a neighborhood, as a road is tighter, you instinctively will slow down.
If they can't build a narrower street right away, they use temporary tools like these curb extensions, easily deployed in a day.
Just the narrowing of the road by this curb extension just makes people a little bit more subconscious or conscious about, okay, I better slow down because there's something going on here.
It's helped in Paul Kyler's neighborhood, on a street locals called the Speedway.
We've had a number of casualties on this road because of speed.
Kyler and his neighbors worked with Edmonton's Street Lab program that connects families with city traffic engineers.
We'll hear their concerns and then we'll work with them to implement traffic calming measures.
In Paul's neighborhood, the curb extensions started as a test.
And then once we get enough feedback seeing how they work, if they work, they put in a more permanent solution, which we're actually getting here.
All over Edmonton, you see permanent concrete curb extensions, shortening the distance for pedestrians to cross and encouraging slower speeds near intersections. The city is also raising crosswalks to make them more visible and partnering with school kids to paint them bright colors.
So as drivers are approaching the crosswalk, they can see it from a distance away, and it's been well received by the community.
But reshaping roads is only part of the plan.
I notice this is bright yellow. Why is that?
We want people to slow down immediately, right?
These automated speed enforcement trucks are slowing drivers in spots where crashes happen most. Peace officers monitor as radar automatically clocks speeds. Cameras snap photos of speeders, and tickets are sent in the mail.
It's a really good tool, and it's proven effective year after year for our Vision Zero strategy.
The city says crashes have come down more than 30% on streets where the trucks are used. Under local laws, they can only be used in limited spots with a history of crashes, and those locations must be published in advance.
And that's why our vehicles are bright yellow, right? We're not hiding behind the trees. We're out in the open. People can see us because we want them to slow down.
Still, as you can imagine, not everyone here is thrilled with efforts to slow down traffic.
No, of course not.
City Council member Andrew Knack says Edmonton leaders faced opposition, especially when they voted to lower speed limits citywide.
There was this fear that, the traffic would be at a standstill.
City engineers responded using data showing most drivers would barely notice a 1 or 2 minute increase in commute times, while the slower speeds would reduce deaths. Today, Knack says he hardly hears any criticism.
Almost everyone has moved on and realized how much better and how much safer that's made our local communities.
Nobody likes change, but at the end of the day, when you see the results and when you can feel the actual extra safety, it's worth it.
What Edmontonians told us is all that data has not only helped fix problems, it's been a key to getting more people to buy in. There's power, they say, in numbers showing things like crazy-looking crosswalks actually work.
When you tell the other side of the story that how it is saving life, protecting people, then people understand why we are doing what we are doing.
A message to Dallas, Texas, from the Texas of the North.
What we've seen here in the city is something that can probably be a model for a city like Dallas, for sure.
Edmonton also showed us it takes money and staff to make Vision Zero work. Edmonton has a full-time group focused on Vision Zero. The city's also investing about 180 million Canadian dollars a year redeveloping neighborhoods with a heavy Vision Zero focus.
One day after NBC5 Investigates questioned why a plan to cut traffic deaths in Dallas has stalled, city council members are calling for more accountability. Tonight they have requested a briefing to find out what has happened.
Yes, this comes after our NBC5 Investigate series, Driven to Death, revealed that Dallas now has the worst traffic fatality rate among the 10 largest cities in the U.S. Our Scott Friedman has the new reaction to our reporting at City Hall.
Yeah, guys, several city council members said today they have a lot of questions, so many that they want a full briefing now to address this. Their questions include some of the same ones we raised in our reporting last night about a lack of progress on a city traffic safety plan called Vision Zero.
Our reporting found just in the city of Dallas, traffic crashes have killed more than 1,000 people in less than 5 years. More than 5,000 have been severely injured. Vision Zero was supposed to help change that. It was 4 years ago when the council first gave it a green light.
I'm really happy to see our city go towards making this commitment.
Just last year, the council signed a Vision Zero pledge saying it would work to eliminate traffic deaths and cut serious injuries by half in 7 years. Vision Zero involves not only increased traffic enforcement, but efforts to identify and redesign the city's most dangerous streets. Today, council members said they want to know why they don't see more of that happening.
We need to be more intentional about completing this plan and making sure that it's something that works across the city.
As NBC5 Investigates reported last night, a 2023 Vision Zero progress report we obtained showed few action items completed and many marked as not started. After we questioned why, the Transportation Department released an updated version of that report. But it still shows out of 40 action items this year, just 9 completed, 24 in progress, 7 have not been started. Today, Transportation Committee members questioned that.
If the goal is to complete this by the end of the year, I'm wondering why we are where we are.
The committee has now requested a briefing at a full council meeting where they can ask staff about the time passed.
Too much time, way too much time, and I think it's a matter of having the right champions.
Newly elected council member Janie Schultz wants to accelerate Vision Zero.
I think each plan needs its champions, and right now we have the right people around the horseshoe who are really going to push this forward.
In our report last night, city staff told us even though the council took the first Vision Zero steps in 2019, it took nearly 3 years to form the plan.
We didn't actually get funding from City Council until October of 2022, and so really we're just now, from a implementation perspective, approaching the 1-year line.
Today, some council members said the city can't wait more years. One member telling us he's motivated by these maps NBC5 Investigates created, showing the location of every traffic death and injury over the last 5 years.
While we're being a little bit relaxed, people are still dying. People are still having these major wrecks. Again, I just keep seeing those red and yellow dots all over that place.
Life is very precious to anyone. You don't want to lose a loved one because we hesitate because we think it was an urgent situation. It is urgent.
City council members also told us they want more information about what's working to reduce deaths in other cities. Tomorrow night, we will show you. We'll take you to a place sometimes called the Texas of the North, where a city has cut traffic deaths using Vision Zero strategies not seen here. Brittany?
Scott, this impacts all of us. Thank you so much. The Investigates team has made it easy for you to find all of the information from their reports. You can see the maps and statistics at NBC DFW Investigates, or just follow this QR code that's right there on your screen.